sure that everyone has time to be creative and kind of do what they want. So I'll just share my screen quick for my really sophisticated and informative presentation. But we are making vision boards today. And can you guys see my screen okay?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, cool. Well, when Jasmine came to me and asked about vision boards, I had a ton of experience with them because I used to be a luxury event planner. And so this was always an integral part of the process to kind of visualize what the final product would look like. So learning about how to transfer that into a mental health space was really interesting. So I thought I would just tell you kind of some do's and don'ts and some tools. And then from there, we'll just get into the workshop. So the whole mindset behind vision boards for mental health and for yourself is kind of the idea of manifestation. And that is kind of an ever-present concept in mental health. Everything from kind of medicine all the way to psychics and everywhere in between. Everyone kind of agrees universally that visualizing your goal, having a goal, and thinking about your goal is a way to be far more likely to achieve it. And so some reasons that manifestation works is because many people know what they want to feel. A lot of people can tell when they feel bad, for example. They say, I'm not happy with my life, but fewer people actually take the step to ask themselves, well, what does a good life look for me? What will make me happy? I know that I'm unhappy, but what does that look like when that's different? And so that already is like such a huge step that so many people don't take. And furthermore, vision boards are a great tool because you can take that one step further and visualize the steps of a goal. If you want to own your own company in 3 years, you can visualize in 1 year, this is what is going to happen. In 2 years, this is what's going to happen. And in 3 years, this is going to happen. So that, again, is something that a lot of people don't do organically. So having a tangible tool to have that is a great resource. The next thing is to be reminded of your goal. A lot of people will make one and then kind of disregard it, but people who swear by them look at them all the time, every day. And the reason why that's important is because vision boards aid in your decision-making process. Oh, good. People on average will make 35,000 decisions every single day, whether it's what you eat for breakfast, whether or not you work out, whether or not you watch a TV show, or if you do an extracurricular thing, whether or not you do too many extracurricular things and sacrifice your own well-being. And everyone just kind of take a minute and think about that and think about how many big decisions you make every day and then how many microcosmic decisions you make every day. And the mentality behind vision boarding is if you're constantly reminded of where you want to go, then you're more likely to make some of those 35,000 decisions every single day that are in accordance with that goal. Because if you don't have that goal in mind, people will make decisions that aren't aligned with that because a small fraction of those decisions are actually mindful decisions. Most of them are just unconscious. So vision boards are to kind of train your unconscious to work towards your goals correctly. And here are some do's and don'ts for vision boards and just manifestations in general. The do's, be specific. Really take time to think about what exactly you want and how you're going to frame that out. Don't just say, I want to be happy. What does happiness look like? Take that deeper, because the more specific you can get, the kind of further you can navigate your own in contentment. The next is to dream big. This is not a time to be super realistic or be super pragmatic. Think about what it is that you really want. And this is kind of a space that's different from the rest of the world, and that it's your own creativity. So you can actually do that, which is rare in our everyday world. So vision boards are a great place to do that and just kind of think without limits, dream without limits. The next is to be consistent. Having a consistent message or a consistent vibe or a consistent, even if you're a visual person, just having a consistent look in your vision board can be the difference between getting you in that correct headspace and the incorrect headspace when you look at it. And the last do for today is have an intention. That's kind of what separates vision boards from a collage. Making a collage is a great creative exercise, but without an intention behind it, it doesn't really achieve anything to help you get anywhere. And so you'll see in the database, I made a list of sample prompts, but anyone is invited to make their own intention today and work towards that. And then some don'ts in vision boards, and this is a huge one. And I remember when I was working in weddings, I would have to talk to brides about this all the time, just being negative. When you're manifesting something in general, a big no-no is thinking, I don't want this, I don't want this, because then what you're telling yourself and what your brain hears and what the universe hears and what the people around you hear is just the one thing that you don't want. So say for me, like, instead of saying, I want to be really physically fit, if I keep thinking to myself, like, I don't want to get out of shape, I don't want to get out of shape, I don't want to gain weight, I don't want to lose weight, then that's all that I'm hearing is those things that I don't want rather than what I want to achieve. So really focus on the things that you want to achieve and not the things that you want to eliminate. And then don't be vague. Even if you see a photo or a piece of art or a word that you'd like to have on your vision board, think about why you want it on there and maybe find some other things that kind of support that, just so when you look at it later, you remember exactly why you added that element. And don't be militant. Now is not the time to punish yourself or regulate yourself or tell yourself that you can't. We don't need it here. Let's save it for later or not. And then the final don't is to ignore it after. This is a tool that can be used whenever you want it. And so we do have this time reserved today. So I would invite everyone just to really take this time to create something that you'll use later. And then finally, a lot of celebrities swear by vision boards. And, here are some celebrities that credit their success to vision boards. First of all, Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey has been talking about vision boards for over 20 years and swears by them and encourages everyone to make one. On the left here, we have Cardi B, a female rap sensation. She has had some major alterations in her career in the past 3 years, for those of you who know her story. And she's very public about how having a vision for that and having a vision for the steps to get there was very integral in that process. And then Steve Harvey, you may know him from Family Feud or his talk show, Ask Steve. He is also very vocal about how successful vision boards have made him and how they've aided in his success. And that's really all I'm going to talk about today. I suppose I will quickly go over the dashboard. Where is my Slack channel? Oh, here we go. So here are the 6 prompts that I provided. The first one being, what 6 words will define my life? And this is that one that I actually have. I might make another one, but this has really helped me, especially with the idea of making micro decisions. And a lot of psychologists cite that if you think of 5 to 7 words that you want to define you as a person, that you want to define your life, then you're more likely to act like someone who has those core values. It's why we as augurs set core values for our company. It's because when we are making decisions as professionals, we can think about what aligns best with that. And having those outlined is a great way to kind of become the type of person, the type of professional, the type of family member that you want to be. The next is, how do I become the best me? So if anyone is looking for things that they want to improve in their life, this is a great time to really dig deep and think about the tools that you want to use in order to achieve that. And the next one is, what will my happiest place look like? A lot of times in our society, we never really get the chance to think about what our dream life would look like. We're always told to balance what we want with what's realistic. And so a lot of times, especially as you grow older, you lose sight of what that ideal will look like. And so creating just that fantastical ideal is a great place to have that, so then the goalposts don't get moved and you don't slowly become too realistic and not happy enough. And then the next one is kind of a who, what, when, where, why format. So if you're thinking about something, this is a great way to circumvent it and think about every single element that will be in play as you achieve it. So who will be involved in reaching my goal? What is my goal? When will I reach my goal? Where is my goal? And why is my goal? So that is a great one as well. And in accordance with Mental Health Month, I thought I would throw this one in, and it's how will I build health at work, in my home, in my body, in my mind, and in my soul. So that's a great way to be really well-rounded in that and not leave one element out. Because as we all know from all of these workshops, balance is super important. And the final one is just your life in 5 years. So just thinking about what that is. And I know that's a question that a lot of us get asked a lot, but going more in depth into that is something that oftentimes people won't do. And so the next step is I created a warehouse of sample photos, and there's just a kind of an array of interests here and different vibes and different looks. And I tried to be as diverse as possible with everyone's interests and everyone's life and what everyone's into. There might be a few more like beach pictures and fishing pictures just because I was the one who made this database. So, but if you don't see enough pictures here that you feel represent you, I apologize. I did my best, but everyone is invited to add anything. I just figured I would add these to give everyone ideas and maybe inspire other things that they would want on here. And then I made a couple of templates. There's kind of a mixed feeling about templates in the vision boarding world, I've learned. This is true both in the event space and in the psychology space. But I figured I would just provide some for some people who maybe don't feel as creative as they want to today. And then another one, just kind of more of a list format. And then the 5th page is just a blank template. So this will just act as a blank page where you can just play and do whatever you want. So I suppose I will take a couple minutes just for any questions. And if then there aren't any, we can all turn our cameras off for 20 minutes and then come and reconvene when the 20 minutes are over. Cool. Awesome. Well, yeah, I would encourage everyone to turn your cameras off just so you can really be introspective during this process. But if you want to keep it on, then go for it if that's part of your process. But I will see everyone in 20 minutes. All right, we are halfway through our work time, so we'll reconvene at around 12:15 to chat. So roughly 10 more minutes left. All right, now for the last 15 minutes, if you want to continue working on your vision board, that is a-okay. But anyone who wants can also turn their cameras back on and we can have a discussion about vision boards and how we thought the process went. So for those of you who are coming back, welcome back. Cool. All right, looks like some of us are really into it. So how did you guys feel making these? Does anyone want to volunteer kind of what their process looked like?
I can say a few things.
Cool.
So I've done quite a bit of like thinking and a lot of this kind of work, but mostly in like a notebook that I keep by my bedside, and I have like kind of life goals and ideas and books that I've read that I've taken, things out of, and I have like better grasp of like a lot of the prompts that you were talking about. When I was trying to put them into like a visual for this board, I found it to be kind of like tough just because I didn't have all the assets that I needed at hand, like pictures of people and families and friends and stuff like that. And also, I have like my wife and I have created like a detailed, like where we want to be in 5 years and 10 years. And so it was just kind of like getting all of that into something else on a page was a little bit frustrating, difficult for me, but I know I have it. I know I have it in here. It's just how do you visualize it on a board? So that's my feedback.
Yeah, totally. Well, it's good to get started too.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I can offer my feedback. So my process, I kind of started with like one word or intention, and then just kind of like built off of that based on like things that I know I want to do that like me and Zach talk about all the time, and things that are like actually coming up, like I'm gonna get married. So that was a big thing. So I was looking at like what like I just kind of like organized different corners into different parts of my life. So it was like this upper left corner was kind of like the wedding, what that's going to look like and what that will bring, the honeymoon, everything else too. And then the other corner was like what I want my home life to look like. What so that looks like growing food and plants and reading and candles and stuff like that. And then I kind of have like my yoga teaching ambition in this corner. And this corner I haven't built out yet, but I don't know. I'm definitely going to spend some time to finish this up because I thought it was really fun.
I can
anyone
share.
Else have any?
Yeah,
Go for it.
So I ended up using the same template, the one that had like the like 4 different sections. How I ended up using it, I think is pretty similar to Jasmine, where I kind of used my 5-year goal as the inner circle of Like, so in my case, by 5 years, I'll be married. Probably, I'll definitely have a home, start having kids, and creating family. And so, and then the outside sections were more of like, what are the things that really keeps me going? What am I passionate about? What gets me out of bed in the morning? And then I kind of use that as, how can I continue to have these things as I move into the 5-year goal? So the pictures in the middle ended up being like teaching kids how to cook or traveling with kids, and like continue to do those things that I'm really passionate about, but doing it with others. So
Cool. Yeah, well, we have 10 more minutes. So does anyone actually want to share their board? I can share mine too if no one really wants to. And then, okay, cool. I'll show you what I did. And I know we're creating a gallery too. So when you finish yours up, if you want to add that too, I figured that could be a fun piece of content just for people to kind of look at. So here's mine, and the prompt that I used was, what 6 words will define my life? So that was really interesting, hearing how other people kind of went the other way, where they had like one word in the middle and then found all of the different elements that surrounded that, whereas mine's kind of centralized and I just thought of all of the words that went into it. So the first one is courage, the other one is love, the other one is humor, and then in this corner, innovation, and just kind of, I see that in architecture and environmentalism. So I put some reusable things there. This one is beauty, and I usually just see that in locations. And then the final one is intuition. And so I think having this in a sort of visual setting is really fun. And also for me, that kind of is what defines my integrity. And so whenever I have a challenge, I can kind of think about that resource, and it's like, well, what choice is most aligned with those 6 words that are on that board? And then the more I use it, the more I just become that person. So that's something that I really like. But I will create a gallery for all of these for people who want to share them, if you would like to share them. But yeah, I thought another cool exercise would just be to everyone put in the chat kind of like one word that kind of summarizes the vision board experience for you today, just so you can kind of see how everyone is feeling about it. So everyone think about a word, throw it in the chat, and then we'll close out our little workshop for today. Cool. Well, we're waiting for a couple of words to come in, but something that I was kind of reading about earlier, and then it kind of like came to fruition, is just when we're moving a million miles an hour and we're not really taking the time to think about achieving our goals, we're just kind of doing that busy work to achieve them. We don't really have time to feel any of these words. And so this is kind of an exercise that shows that you can take actions to start achieving the things you want while still feeling these things, and that it's totally possible. And that I think today in our society, a lot of those very like real important feelings get ignored. And so this is just kind of an exercise to kind of come back to yourself and have those sorts of things that you don't always have. So yeah, thanks for coming, everyone. I hope you found this fun and helpful and recharging.
Yeah, that was super fun. Thanks,
Thanks,
Lydia.
Lydia.
Cool.
thank you, Lydia.
Yeah, well, class is dismissed early, so bye, guys.
Bye. Thanks, Lydia. Bye.
Bye.